Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. When I was a kid, my friend and I would spend late nights reading books on UFOs, alien abductions, and cryptids and the like. However, there was one image that really captured my imagination and scared the hell out of me. That being the face on Mars. Captured by the Viking 1, this haunting image shook me and my friend to our cores. We threw a blanket over our heads and stayed there frozen, unable to move, fearful for what lurked outside. It was around this same time that today's episode, Space, episode 9 of season 1 debuted. Debuting on the Fox network on November 12, 1993, Space follows our agents as they investigate the sabotage of a space shuttle mission, which Mulder suspects to be the work of an alien spirit that has taken over the body of a former astronaut. I think if Mulder was investigating the robbery of a child's lemonade stand, he would think it's the work of aliens. Anyways, let's begin. We start at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, back in 1977. The NASA control team celebrate. I mean, look at these party animals go.
What did I teach you guys?
Party down?
As they've just received the first photos of Mars from the Viking Observer spacecraft, including one image which is rather interesting. Colonel Marcus Belt, an astronaut, tells her it's nothing more than a play of light and shadow. Later that night, Belt arrives home looking at the photo of the face. He goes to bed and starts having flashbacks to one of his missions.
There's something out here.
Can you repeat that, Commander Bell?
It's coming at me.
He awakes and looks up at the ceiling when something very strange occurs. A young me pisses his pants in terror. We're at Houston Mission Control in the present day. A space shuttle is readying for liftoff when a critical error occurs.
Liftoff. Abort liftoff.
2 weeks later in Washington, D.C., Mulder and Scully are waiting for someone who wanted to have a word with them.
I wanted to talk to somebody from the FBI.
They believe they're being messed with until a woman named Michelle arrives. She's the Mission Control Communications Commander for the Space Shuttle program. Michelle is under the belief there is someone within NASA trying to sabotage the space program. She explains the aborted mission that just occurred 2 weeks prior and shows the agents x-rays that were anonymously sent to her of the equipment that apparently shows tampering.
Marks that could have caused a malfunction.
It's pretty riveting stuff.
However, the heat required to cause this damage by any one person is pretty much an impossibility. Michelle tells them there's another launch tomorrow and it looks like she has other reasons for contacting the agents.
But my fiancé is a shuttle commander on that mission.
So basically, had her fiancé not been aboard this mission, she never would have contacted the FBI and just let everyone die.
They died well.
The following day, the agents are at the Houston Space Center, riding in a cart that makes me think of Austin Powers. Mulder rambles on about NASA and terrorism, not quite sure what he's getting at. What I do know, however, is I'm gonna need a pot of coffee to keep me awake during this episode.
Care for a cup of Wilkins coffee?
No, I don't like coffee.
This has been a public service.
Much better. Mulder and Scully meet with Colonel Belt, and for Mulder, this is like a dream come true.
Fox Mulder. I'm a big fan. It's an honor to meet you.
They show Belt the x-rays from the damaged shuttle, asking if he recognizes it, and well, of course he does. He, however, doesn't really appreciate their accusations.
If you have any respect for this program and for the people who have devoted their lives to it, you'll be careful to whom you make those accusations.
Scully asks him if there was any way someone could sabotage his shuttle, and he pretty much just brushes the idea off. Mulder then asks if they can watch the liftoff, and for some reason, Scully is all sassy.
Didn't you want to get his autograph?
Meow.
The agents speak with one of the scientists working on the shuttle and ask him a few questions. Meanwhile, Belt is watching them, which isn't suspicious at all. The agents are at mission control, awaiting the launch of the shuttle. The stock footage shuttle launches without issue, and everyone is pretty happy.
Execute. Lower throttle back. Main engine at 65%.
For some reason, Scully just can't let Mulder have this moment.
Yeah, it ranks right up there with getting a pony and learning how to braid my own hair.
Michelle comes running for Mulder,
Something's gone wrong.
What happened?
Something's wrong with the shuttle.
and that didn't take long now, did it? They've lost contact with the shuttle and have to get back to Houston. The agents follow Michelle, and Scully asks if it could be sabotage, but Mulder isn't sure as things go wrong all the time. And I'm not sure how Michelle can be driving when she can't see a damn thing out her window. Suddenly, a spooky ghost face flies right through her window, causing the camera to go on the fritz. Oh, and I guess possibly a car crash? The agents rush to her aid, and it looks like the rain just suddenly stopped. Mulder manages to pull her out of the flipped car, and it looks like all she has are some minor cuts and bruises. Mulder asks her what happened,
Something came at me in the fog.
and I'm surprised he doesn't just drop her to go look for whatever it is she saw. Back at Mission Control and a lot more exciting technobabble and exposition.
He said it was just a bunch of technobabble. He didn't understand what...
Basically, the shuttle needs to turn. If it doesn't, the heat from the sun will cook the astronauts, so they need to find a way to do it from the ground. But apparently someone is messing with the system from inside Houston, which finally gives Mulder and Scully something to do. Someone runs by Mulder and I notice he has good trigger finger control. Suddenly the power goes out, and if this was back in school, everyone would be losing their mind.
Be quiet!
Mulder finds some pudgy little scientist and tells him to step out. Well, he was just checking on things, but Mulder tells him to contact security as he doesn't want anyone in or out of the building that doesn't have proper clearance. They make it back to Belt and tell him something is interfering with the transmissions.
Somebody or something is interfering with our ground communications and scrambling our uplink telemetry.
More fun technobabble that they even have to get Mulder to explain to Scully and us, the audience.
Cutting off ground control of the orbiter. The astronauts will be flying the shuttle all by themselves.
They cut contact with the astronauts, and now it's all in their hands to maneuver the shuttle before they overheat. They re-establish the communications with the shuttle, and lo and behold, it was a success.
Howdy do, Houston. Looks like we finally got this bird to fly right.
Also, what the hell is Mulder doing here? Did David not know they were filming when he did this? Belt goes to the bathroom to cool off and he stares at the mirror like this is the first time he's ever seen his reflection. Colonel Belt is giving a press conference of the launch and claims it to be a 100% success.
The shuttle orbiter has performed magnificently.
And Scully, well, she calls it like she sees it.
So much for your boyhood hero.
See, Mulder, this is why you never meet your heroes. Rarely do they ever live up to the image you've built in your head. Colonel Belt arrives home and enjoys a nice bottle of vodka. The smooth after press conference taste of vodka brand vodka. He gets in bed and starts having flashbacks again to whatever the hell happened when he was in space. And then this happens.
Perfectly normal.
That's pretty much how I feel after drinking vodka too. This alien ghost thing suddenly feels as though it's had enough of Belt and decides it's going back to space.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Back at Houston, and they've got issues as the ghost alien is now terrorizing the astronauts. The agents are brought back as there now appears to be an oxygen leak on the shuttle. I'm not sure what this ghost has against astronauts, however.
That's the liquid O2 leaking out into space. The exact same thing happened to Colonel Belt on an Apollo mission.
But I'm glad Mulder is there to explain everything to the idiots in the audience. Mulder and Scully rush to find Belt as he's the only one that will know what to do in this situation. They arrive at his apartment and find him looking pretty rough.
You look like shit.
Colonel Belt and the agents make it back to Mission Control and Belt tells the astronauts to get in their suits and to vent their remaining CO2. They need to use their emergency oxygen supply and deliver their payload regardless of the outcome.
There's more at risk here than your personal life, and if you can't accept that, maybe you better leave the decision to people in this room who can.
Michelle runs off upset with his orders, but Mulder is adamant that Belt knows what he's doing. We get some exciting and nail-biting folder flipping as the agents look for anything that may explain what Belt is doing. Meanwhile, the astronauts are delivering their payload when suddenly the ghost starts attacking the stock footage. Well, this just sets Belt off. Back with Scully, and she finds another X-ray that shows Belt may have known about what happened.
Are you saying he might have known about the Challenger defect?
Something weird is going on here, Scully.
Michelle comes running in saying Belt has collapsed in his office. They rush in and find him flipping his wig under his desk. Paramedics arrive, and before they can take Belt away, Mulder tries to get Belt to tell him how to save the astronauts. Before he can, however, the ghost makes its return. Alright, Scully, now try explaining that. Michelle heads back to Mission Control as the astronauts have run out of oxygen, but Mulder isn't done with Belt. He asks how the astronauts can re-enter without burning up.
Change the re-entry trajectory to 35 degrees.
With their newfound information, the agents run back to Mission Control. The agents arrive and tell Michelle they need to change their re-entry trajectory to 35 degrees. Everyone awaits with bated breath to hear back from the shuttle.
Houston, this is OTC. You know a good place to eat in Albuquerque? Well, we meet.
They all watch as the stock footage shuttle makes its landing. Michelle is giving a press conference and her cuts and bruises are all magically healed. Belt is watching on a TV when that damn ghost makes its return. Well, Belt at this point has had all he can take of this thing, and we're back with Mulder, who's a little somber at the loss of his hero. Scully comes in and he tells her he believes Belt was possessed and sent those x-rays to Michelle as a way to stop whatever had taken hold of him.
Scully, we send those men up into space to unlock the doors of the universe, and we don't even know what's behind them.
The agents are then at his funeral as Belt is put to rest. And well, that's Space, and overall I would say boring episode. There really isn't a whole lot that happens. I mean, there's a lot of technical talk and people just staring at one another. Now, this episode did scare the hell out of me when I was younger, but I think that was mostly due to my reading about the face on Mars and everything that came with that. The ghostly face at the time did freak me out, but obviously it doesn't have the same impact now it did then. For me personally, this one is somewhere near the bottom of Season 1 and may even be at the very bottom. The episode currently sits at 6.2 on IMDb, and honestly I'm surprised it isn't lower. Our friends at Cinefantastique pulled no punches, giving it a 1 out of 4 stars, stating, "The first season's worst episode in which little happens." Chris Carter wrote the episode after reading about the face on Mars. It was conceived as a low-budget bottle episode, which is an episode done on the cheap with as little full-time cast and effects as possible. However, due to the cost of the mission control set, which would lead to cost overruns, it eventually became the most expensive episode of Season 1. The episode was being produced in September 1993, which coincided with the release of the pilot episode. Because of this, the cast and crew became somewhat overwhelmed with the reviews and input coming in from its reception. To achieve the effect of Belt's plunge, a camera was dropped from a construction crane, which was arranged by the Wall Center, a then under construction hotel and office complex. Ed Lauder, who played Colonel Belt, said of his experience on the show, "I don't really have a lot to say about that, except I thought I did a nice job, and that it was nice working up there in Vancouver with David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson." He appeared in many films and TV shows over the years, such as the 1976 remake of King Kong and the very awesome Death Wish 3.
You can't have both of us. Let me.
He passed away on October 16, 2013 at the age of 74. Susanna Thompson, who played Michelle, said Chris Carter and William Graham were really helpful to her, recalling advice she had gotten from Graham because of the numerous rewrites. He said to me, "I understand this is happening. I'm not happy with what's going on, and neither are you. We need to keep filming, and we're going to do the best we can." Susanna has appeared in many TV shows and movies, most notably her role as Moira Queen in the CW show Arrow. While the episode isn't the greatest, it's still not the worst thing. It's just more dull than anything else. Check back next time as we'll be looking at Fallen Angel, which for me is a step up in quality. Let me know your thoughts on the episode in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please think about subscribing as I would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching and stay spooky.
15 years ago, he had a strange encounter in space.
God, there's something outside the ship.
This Friday, 2 FBI agents will discover he didn't come back alone. The X-Files. Don't watch it alone. An all-new episode Friday.